Hey out there, it's me again. Hoping you're all still surviving the coronavirus outbreak. Um, it's like gotten a little, it's starting to get a little crazy around here. God, I just went out to pick up some flour I forgot to buy the other day, and God, the stores are just like crazy. But I think it's like as I said in the last video, I did manage, I did finish up this piece yesterday, last night. Once I get to those final pages, it's just like all the procrastination that's been going on is going out the window. Um, and what I and I don't know. It's like for whatever reason I wanted to do another video before we close out this book, so I thought I'd show you. Just like with Shrimp of the House, I thought I'd do a cover, let you guys sit with me while I do a cover. I'm going to be doing the interior cover for part one, and I sort of did open up the file because it did take, well, it took forever, but I mean, not literally forever, but, so I opened up the file, which I probably should have gone through some of this other stuff while waiting for it, but whatever. I'm going to stop babbling and get to the point here. um, Pretty much what I do with the interior covers is if I really don't know from the beginning what I'm going to do, I'll sit and just kind of go through the pages and look for inspiration for something that kind of defines what this particular part is going to be. And I thought, like, initially when I was coming through here, the first thing I thought about was putting Tamara on the cover and sort of recreating one of these images of her sitting in the coffee shop drinking coffee. Like, for me, that would make a decent cover. But I'm thinking, since this one is going to be called Rusty and Elliot instead of just Elliot, even though Elliot's the narrator and he's sort of at the center of it all the time. Um, I thought for the first cover inside, it should be, it should focus on our two friends to give you the idea that this is about them. Which is why I went ahead and opened the file for Corey's gym. I think too, since this series is a little light on, well, I don't want to say light on the muscle, but it definitely doesn't have the growth component of that. So I think we're going to show just a little bit of skin on the cover, this for this part. And since I have no intention of saving this scene, I'm just going to go ahead and start deleting a lot of stuff that I don't really need, that I have no intention. So, Brody and his family can go away. Um, let's go in the clothes folder. I don't really need clothes because I'm going to leave these guys in these outfits. I don't plan on using any other characters. It's just going to be these two. So basically everybody can go away. What I want is for this set to be as light as possible. I don't need these lights, so we'll put those off. Um, this truck was used for one scene. I don't need it, so let's take it off. Russ's clothes. Why they aren't in the clothes folder, I don't know. Unused characters. Now, I could just delete this whole group. Why I don't is because for some reason in the sort of public release, and if you follow along, you know that I do I do a lot of my work in the beta version of Daz Studios. But for some reason, in the beta version, and I've seen this across all um, versions I've used, is if I delete the character with all the clothing and all the add-ons, no matter how heavy the set, they'll delete almost instantly. Whereas if I do it in the public, the not the public, the official release, um, it for some reason, if I try and delete a character with the clothes and the hair and everything else, it'll take forever. And the only way to, and the only way to get it done efficiently is to delete each piece of clothing individually, the hair individually, etc., etc., and it still kind of lags. I don't know why it happens in the sort of the official release, but not the pro public build, the beta version. But that's why I use that's primarily why I use the beta version, because because I can just delete any characters I don't need relatively quickly. Let's see. As far as outside, I think I can delete the buildings, right? Delete those, and then delete these guys. Leave Corey's apartment, and we've got that. So let's bring these guys inside. Focus on him. And I'm kind of this concept is still unfolding. Let me get rid of the aspect frame because it's just annoying me. So it's in the realm of I'm not quite sure. The idea here is I'm just going to put them in a situation, kind of show them working out, not quite, but we're going to sort of put them in the gym. The idea is buddies, partners, whatever. Okay, there we go. It's just locked for some reason. Okay, now it's really starting to lag, and I don't know why. I want his foot touching the floor, but not through it. I'm not going to actually have them in the middle of a set, so I don't need to Actually, you know what? I went through all that trouble. I'm going to change my mind here a little bit. I want this foot flat on the ground. Let's delete that key. I'm going through a lot of trouble, but I have a feeling this is going to be a sometimes I set these up, render the image, and try and put it on the page, and it doesn't work. I see that a lot with the front cover, with the main cover, not so much the interior covers. Because if you've seen if you if you've seen the cover, the video I did for the cover of Shrimp of the House Showtime, I do talk about how I'm not so finicky about the interior covers as I am about the exterior covers. Okay. And with all the barbells unparented from the benches, I kind of thought this one would have been, but apparently not. So we're going to have to find this one. Jim. Corey's squat rack, and it's this one. And I'm a little, I'm inclined to delete all of these just to get them out of the way. But actually, while I'm thinking about it, let me just dump it into here for now, just to get it out of the way. I'm afraid to delete them because I've got the mirror here and the one on the other side. Just in case I do an angle where the mirror reflects the main gym, I don't want it to, I really don't want things missing if you look really, really, really close at these pictures. So, it's kind of on that note where, let me see. So here's the aspect for, let me put the aspect frame on. That's going to be the cover. So I'll say for example, yeah, actually that looks, so for example, if this is going to be my cover here in this box, you're not going to see the ends of the bars, but you might see it in the mirror. So I do want to put weight on it. A blue plate? Yeah, okay, let's give him a blue plate. There we go. It doesn't have to be. So this is sort of what I'm going for in this image. We'll just kind of mess that up a little bit so it doesn't look so perfect. And let's see what else. You know what? He doesn't need to be smiling that largely. There we go. Simple smile. See, this is all we need for an interior cover is something simple. Um, Now, one thing is that the title is going to take up the top third. So I've got to kind of imagine where that top third is going to be, roughly around here. And I want to make sure that everything in the image is down below. Also, um, what I don't want is the bar, or is this part of the rack here, where normally I'd go into Tools, Geometry Editor, and select it. First, we got to find it. Where normally I might just make it invisible, geometry, visibility, hide, selective, and just start making it invisible like this. But, and then you got like this one. But there's two problems to that. So we hide that. See, and now it's out of the way. I don't have it at the edge. But, however, there's kind of a problem with that, is that, again, you'll notice it missing in the mirrors. But let's show all polygons. The good part is, at this angle, once I put it on the page, this should get cut off anyway. This should be, the image should be big enough that this is off the page, because I end up rendering this larger than the page is, just in case I have to like move it just a little, instead of like re-rendering the entire picture to get the setup perfect. I can just kind of move the image as I need to, because I've got a little extra to work with. So, basically we keep that. Let's see. Let me see what else I've got here. Lights. Lights. You know what? I don't need lights. And also, what I want to do while I'm thinking about it, I want to experiment here a little. So normally, let me come into lights. I come in here normally. Where are my lights? Lights, presets. Normally, when doing in the muscle growth universe, where I'm working with 3DL, I usually come into OmniFreaker, throw in an Uber environment, set at 75% intensity, and then throw in 4 distant lights set off at 45-degree angles from each other. So one at 45, one at negative 45, one at 135, and so on. And I'll usually set them at either 30% intensity or 25% intensity. And that kind of gives me the sort of the look you've been seeing during all the daytime shots, at least. But I've also got these that I've been playing around with outside my projects, and I plan to use these in the upcoming short story. Is these is the AOA lights. I kind of, so it's like, I'll give you a look here. Let's experiment. So if I use the AOA ambient light and then throw in 4 of these, let's take lights off. So I've got this just those. Okay. So the ambient light doesn't quite work like the environment light. So what I've got to do is bring that one, center it where these people are. So at 1046 and 1394. 1046, 1394. 1036, 1494. I think that's right. 1394. 1494. Oops. Try to put the numbers in the head. It's like, try to remember the numbers. I'm under pressure because I'm on camera here, because I'm recording here. So let's intense that at 75. And now the advanced lights. So should I do the same thing here? Well, these all import at an angle of X. So I'm going to rotate those 45, this one at negative 45, this one at 135, and this one at negative 135. And then let's bring the intensity down to 25. And also, these, let's put shadow strength at 25. That looks good. And I'm just going to throw those in a group so that I can clean up my scene pane a little bit. And at the same time, okay, I want max ray trace depth set a little higher than the default. If I reset, the default is 2, and I had it at 5. Basically, what it does is the ray trace is how many times the reflections bounce off each other. So here, where I've got a mirror on the opposite wall directly facing this one, it's basically what I've got are mirrors reflecting into mirrors. So you get that, like, in that depth of infinity or whatever it is. So it's like if ray trace depth is set at 2, you won't get that. It'll stop rendering the reflection after the second reflection. So we just increase it a little bit so that we get it without making it too high that it slows this thing down, because the higher this is, the slower this will render. And it becomes, and it's basically like what you want is the compromise between how many reflections in the reflections do you want to get the point without having so few that you can tell it's not reflecting in on itself. Okay. Let's call this cover 1. And again, I'm sort of experimenting here with the lights. If this doesn't look good, I can always go back to the original light set and it'll be no skin off my back. But while we're doing that, we'll go set up a page to make the cover page. It's like I think I showed with well, I don't know if I showed it with the Shrimp of the House one I did, but it's pretty much when I start off, I'll use a previous file to begin with and just make the modifications from there. In this case, we use Tyler. The problem comes sometimes that I end up flattening chunks of this before saving it so that it makes it useless to use it in the next story as a template. And I usually have to go digging through the files to find one that's usable, but I think here we saved it without, or we did it without flattening everything. So what I'll do is take the GIMP file from Tyler's story and just make the necessary changes. Oops. Okay. So this is going to be Rusty and Elliot. And hopefully okay, yeah, this is going to work. The fear all throughout this story was that this overall line was going to be too long to put under here. So I'm glad to see it's not. So we will go Rusty and Elliot. And we will stretch that out. And then what we're going to do is zoom in so I can see what's going on here. And I'm just going to line this up so that the black shadow, so to speak, whoops. And I want to move the active layer. Actually, no. Yeah, okay, let's move this one. And I do this a lot by I sort of eyeball this a lot. So to me that looks good. Let's zoom out again. I can leave the one of 4 because this is another 4-part story, but I need to change the copyright text here. I think it's this one, right? Basically what I need is Rusty and Elliot. And because we are now in 2020, we've got to make sure we change this. I don't think I've ever forgot. Whoops, what did I just do? I don't think I've ever forgotten to change the date, but it's always a fear of mine whenever I do this. Okay. So, for some reason this still doesn't look right. 1, 2, 1, 2. Feels like it's moved a little too this way. Like it needs to come over just a little this way, right? That. I think I moved it over too much. So let's go over 1. Yeah, it's weird. It was. Let's see. That might be it. some reason I think it's centered, but it doesn't look it. That's what's bugging me. It's messing with my eyes. Yeah, for some reason, to me, that looks. I don't know. Hmm. I can't get this to look right. Okay, maybe that's it. Hmm. I just cannot get this to look right. If I go over one this way, whoops, I'm on the wrong layer. If I go over one this way, it looks like it's too far that way. If I go over one that way, it looks over too far that way. And it does sound like my picture is done, so let's take a look at that and see what that looks like. Oh boy. Oh shoot, I got that. Okay, that's easily fixed. But yeah, you see what I mean? It's like reflections in reflections, and then you get this black part here where it stops, where the ray tracing stops reflecting. Yeah, I kind of like the look of that. Let's okay, I'm gonna twist this. This can be fixed by twisting the lights. I'll show you what I mean. Um, I set everything at 45 degrees. Um, if I change that offset, it'll fix that. Which I'll change the whole group by 45 degrees like that. That'll get rid of that weird glare. And what I'm going to do is increase the ray tracing since max ray trace depth. Let's go 10. And before I go rendering that, I'm going to save this and see how it plays in here. Let's zoom out once more, and we will go File, Open as Layers, View. Okay. Hmm. Um, hmm. Actually, you know what? Okay, I can go up a little bit like that. Yeah, see, that one got cut off. That post right here. Whoops. Actually, you know what? I instead of moving the camera, I could have just done that. But um, see, that's what I mean about having room to play with the size of the. Um, yeah, I actually like that sort of for an interior cover. It wouldn't work for me as an exterior cover, but for the interior cover, I think it'll work. Render that, and I'll come back over here and delete it. I can just delete. There we go, because I don't need that. And okay, I'm going to delete that. And before I go overwriting Tyler's page, let's save this. Book 1, pages, cover 1, enter. We'll save it. Okay. And while I'm waiting for that, since I can go ahead and let's delete. What I'm going to do is, while I'm waiting for the picture to render, I will set this up for the other 3 covers. So where's number 1? We will change this to number 2, close, and then file, save as, and come into here, pages, page 2, enter. Then we change it to editor 3, file, save as. We'll go to book 3, pages, cover. Okay, come on, there we go. Cover 3. Let's go 4. File, save as. 4. Pages, cover 4. Okay, and since I don't want to overwrite cover 4, I'm going to go closing that and come into here, page 1, and I'm going to reopen. I'm in the wrong book. Okay, there we are. Cover 1. We will open that. So I've got that. Okay. This is going to take a bit. Oh, and I still got that. What the heck? Shoot. Okay, Control Z. I've got my. Let me see what's going on. You know, by off. Oh, you know what? I think it's the ambient light, not the. Shoot. I'm going to cancel that. Oh, shoot. What I'm going to do is save this just so I have. So I can go ahead and see how it fits in here. Open as layer. Okay, yeah, that fits a lot better than what I wanted. I think that's the ambient light doing that. Shoot. Maybe I can twist. Actually, I think what I want to do is, while I'm here, currently used, let's bring up the intensity on that just a little. We're going to see what this looks like. Oh. Or just move it to the background. Oh. Give me something. Did I get rid of it? Ah, shoot. Oh, no, okay, that might be off the... Oh, you know what? That might actually be off the page at this point. Feels like it's getting darker, not lighter. Hmm. Okay. Well, you know why that is because it's the direction of those distant lights. So what I'm going to do is, oh shoot, no, I want to cancel it from here. What I'm going to do is let's undo this. I'm going to render that. And while we're waiting for this, I'm going to make a little cut, take a little bit of a break here, and I'll see you in a second. Okay, so I've got it rendering a picture with the little light reflection off screen. I ended up having to cheat this a bit, so I did move the characters. I did move it where he's off center from the bar in order to sort of turn the camera at a bit of an angle. Um, I'm trying to think. You don't really see it here. I don't think if you're looking at this image, you won't notice it. So I think it'll work. So we're rendering picture. And I'm seeing something. I'll notice it. I'll see if it comes through when this is finished rendering, or if it's just something that's as a result of it not um, being completely converged yet. But I suppose while we're doing that, I think what I'll do now is I will set up the main cover so that when I get around to doing it, I've already got the file um, formatted. So we're just going to do the same thing. We're going to take the GIMP file from Tyler's story and just change the text. So Rusty and Elliot. Oops. Idiot. I still have the tendency of doing that every now and then, forgetting that I'm in caps lock and hit shift when I do the first letter, something like that. And oh god, I did it again. Okay. And since this text is the edge of this text is at the edge of the page, this should be properly, not quite properly centered, but you know. It's good. Let's see. So let's just move it over. There we go. That should be. And that's going to be the template for my cover. With the main cover, I'm not entirely sure. I'm thinking, since the overall theme with this story is to have the title characters um, kind of presenting themselves to the audience, where you've got him like looking straight at you. Brody was waving to you, the audience, and um, Corey was looking like he's kind of hanging out with you guys. That's the theme. That's sort of the theme we go with. But I think with Rusty and Elliot, what I'm thinking of at this point. Oh, okay. That weird artifact I was seeing worked itself out. It didn't translate. I thought I had some poke through in the shorts, but I didn't. So, but anyways, what I'm thinking of with the front cover is having these two kind of rough housing with maybe um, Rusty having Elliot in a headlock, giving him a noogie. I think that is what I want. Oh my god. I thought I deleted these. Delete. Save. Okay, before I go losing this one, let me save this save as, and I want to put it into Rusty and Elliot. Save. Okay. I'm just going to close that for now and come into this one. Now we will go File, Open as Layer. Now, this one should be there. Okay, except I want to zoom. And again, oh no, wait, okay. I'm a numpty. I was thinking, my instant thought here was I don't want them, their arms like slightly cut off like this. And my instant reaction was I'm going to have to zoom out and re-render the picture. But, this is why I make these bigger than they need to be so I can scale it down. We're just going to do like that. Let's go scale. And that gives me the result I want. And then I can just move this right there. Okay. Okay. So I didn't need to re-render it. That's my image. See, and again, if this were the front cover, this wouldn't work because of the darker red against the darker background. But let me bring this down just a little. Yeah, that's good. Okay. I'll just delete these, get rid of layers I don't need. So that's going to be my first cover. File, save, we go image, flatten, and we go file, export. And this is cover 1 under Rusty and Elliot, book 1 pages. So we will go enter. And that is my cover. I'm going to dump this into book 1. And we come over here. That's my main cover. And then basically the other 3 interior covers and the outer cover are just going to go the same way. I will stage the image, render it, and then just plop it into those files that we sort of saved that I saved earlier. And I do like that look. But that's the cover 1 of 4. And like I said, I won't bother saving this. There's no real need. and I just kind of, but that was the cover. I kind of felt like I should have. I know in the last video, I I thought it was only the second video I did for this part, but it turns out I actually did another one, so it was actually three. Just to give you a little correction there, it was one thing in the previous video. It wasn't the second one; it was the third. But I just felt like I had to say that. I do think this is going to be the last one of this story. I hope you really enjoyed that, and I hope this is worth the wait. I really do. Um, I think going forward, like I said, I'm gonna do another short story, the one I've been calling Teddy Bear, before going on to the fifth story, United, and sort of a heads up. Um, I can't be certain now, but there's something in the back of my mind that says United could be a longer story than the four parts that have been um, sort of defining this series. So whereas like the individual stories were all four parts, United could be a six-part story. And don't get your hopes up on that, because it could, because I could be wrong once I get into it. Once I get working it could turn out to be just a four-part story. But in my mind, there's the possibility that it could be a longer story than I initially planned it to be. And I think if it is, I think I might. I'm going to see if I can keep it the same price as these previous four. Just because, like, if you've gone out and bought the stories, as opposed to like reading it on Kindle Unlimited, or for those of you who are sort of following me on Patreon and reading it that way, for those of you who are going out and like actually buying the copies, it's like it feels like it's already been quite an investment to pick up the three stories that are out there, and then this story now, to sort of charge you another dollar, make it a $3.99 story instead of a $2.99 story, pick up the last piece. But I think that's going to depend on Amazon and what they allow me to price it at. And that's if it goes to six parts. Because it's like with Amazon, I'd love to have priced these like 75-page, 100-page stories a little cheaper than I've got, but because of the file size, Amazon won't let me price them below $2.99. So, that's why. But, on the other hand, maybe I'm pricing too low. Maybe I should be charging more. I don't know. Maybe I will. Who knows? Maybe to push it, to push Patreon a little bit more, and to kind of convince you not to give Amazon so much money. Who knows? I don't know. I'm just going on here. So um, I'm going to sign out. And I want to thank you all for, for everything, sticking through, supporting all of this. It means a lot to me. It does. So, thank you very much. And I hope you got something out of all this.